Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs you're driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Radical Racing Challenge here at Francorchamps, one of the most favoured tracks in all of motorsport. I mean, can you get any better than this in these cars as well? Gonna be a tough challenge for these drivers as it has been throughout this whole season, but nevertheless should be fairly entertaining. I'm Aaron Smith, your host, as always on here, joined by Ron Mons, as he's been out for a few weeks now. Welcome back, Ron. And we've got Samuli Kumu in the production trailer. And Ron, I know you've been keeping up with this series while you've been gone. And, welcome back, first off. And what are your thoughts into this next round?
I think probably the most important thing throughout this broadcast, and we're probably going to hammer this nail more times than you can count throughout this broadcast, and it's going to be the slipstream. I think I was watching a few of these races throughout the week, and just seeing these drivers weave going down the Camel Straight, trying to break that slipstream, just so, I mean, you won't be a sitting duck going down the back straightaway, because we've seen throughout this year, throughout the season, I should say, if you're in the slipstream of another driver within probably about like a half a second, you can definitely get the move done if the straightaway is long enough. So for this race, I think it's going to be about keeping it on the road, because it's obviously a very challenging track, managing the incident points as well, because there's always a bit of a killer when it comes to incident points, and then just trying to fend off that slipstream and trying to defend from the cars behind.
It's one of the biggest talking points when we always come to this track is usually setup, but unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your preference, this series is fixed. So, usually we would be discussing, because this track is so varied and probably the most balanced track in all of motorsport. You've got long straights, fast corners, low speed corners, and that's why teams love to test on it. It is such a well-rounded track. And usually we'd see very varying setups, some people going for lower downforce to aid in the first and third sectors, or possibly going for a little bit higher with that second sector. You do gain a lot of time, but you will struggle during the race. But everyone today is going to be on the same setup, so like you said, Ron, that slipstream is going to be super powerful, all up and down the grid. And I believe this was the opening round last season, and that race, as you predicted, it was just a slipstream fest all round, and produced some really, really good racing. And I think we can expect the same today.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a real, I think it's going to be a high-speed game of Frogger throughout this race. Just leaping positions, going from like second down to third, then back to second, then maybe back to first. You know, it's going to be a real interesting race that we're going to see, and I think it's going to be very entertaining as well, as we're seeing the drivers in qualifying currently. Pretty interesting times we've seen so far. We've seen a lot of, it's been varied throughout this year, seeing some fields spread here and there. Yet other times when we've expected the field to be a bit more spread out, we've seen it be really close. So at a track very long like this, as we see Spencer up at the top of the board, I think, well, it's kind of expected to see a field spread out like this, but I think the slipstream effect is going to keep these drivers really close. I think the gap in the field right now in qualifying, I think it's a bit disingenuous. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I do have to agree with you there, because the slipstream is so powerful. And look at that from Philip van den Hoek. That was a stonking lap, 0.3 of a second ahead of anyone else. And that was a very, very good lap. And doesn't look like anyone else is on a good enough lap at the moment to challenge him for pole. Only got about 20 seconds left in this session. Spencer as well recently has been on good form, and he's at the moment on course for a front row start. And a lot of drivers also choosing not actually to do qualifying, or maybe just didn't get a good lap in. But yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. The lap times are maybe a little bit skewed, as of course qualifying can be a little bit disingenuous sometimes. But nevertheless, that's the end of qualifying. The 2 laps that these guys get are over. And the man who made the best of those 2 laps, Philip van den Hoek, as he often does, absolutely speedy man in qualifying he is, on pole. And Philip Spencer, like I said, on form recently, lining up alongside in second place. Felix Samoes as well will be decently happy with the 3rd. And then the rest of the grid, we have Leon Hernandez, Kopernicki in 5th, Gabua in 6th, Reitsonen in 7th, Bianco in 8th, Agurti in 9th place, and Villar in 10th. Salaval in 11th place, Jeffrey in 12th, and then as we go down from 13th to 19th, Breton Murphy, Andreas Friedrich, Krastik in 15th, Sonera in 16th, Duncan in 17th, Williams in 18th, and Westerbeek in 19th place. We have a few more drivers than we usually do in previous weeks. I think we only got 13 drivers in the past 2 or 3 weeks, so good to see getting more participation this week. I mean, it's Spa, not really too surprising, as Spa, kind of no matter what series you go to, it always manages to get really, really good participation, as it is just really good for racing. It offers some close wheel-to-wheel action in pretty much any kind of car that you do, as like Ron was saying during qualifying, that slipstream just keeps the cars so close, which can make it a little bit challenging to pull off a good result in the race sometimes, as it's quite difficult to pull away of your opponent, and then you get stuck in a slipstream train, and it sometimes can end in disaster. But I mean, it's racing, and that's why we come here. We don't come here to get frustrated. We want to be wheel to wheel, side by side with our rivals every single step of the way. Just waiting for the last driver of Brent Murphy to line up on the grid down in 13th place. And will he actually take to the grid, or is he just waiting for the last second? I don't think he's actually going to take to the grid. 2 drivers starting in the pit lane, and these drivers going to anxiously wait for those 5 red lights to go out. And we are green here in Spa, and that's a good start from the pole man. Samoes has gotten an even better start, and that's a crash in the background. That's 2 cars
two
off.
Cars off.
That's 2 cars already. And as we go into turn 1, it's fairly even, Stevens, as we exit La Source on the run down to Rouge and Bradion. Look at the run that Samoes has had. An amazing start. He's going to pull alongside Philip and has already overtaken him. But is that a little bit of games by Van den Hoek? Is he going to try and get the slipstream down the Kemmel straight and get Samoes into Lecombe?
Well, he will. He is going to have a slipstream. Actually pulling alongside. Yes, he is. He's pulling alongside. Going to go for an outside move. Here, they're nearly going 3 wide. They are going 3 wide. Ooh, that is very close. Oh, no. Oh, boy.
That was a big incident with Hernandez and Van den Hoek, and you could kind of see that coming. Leon Hernandez just looked really offline through that corner and has left Philip with a lot of work to do. There's more contact up ahead, and that is Kopenicki and one of the other cars off that. Spencer as well. Another challenger for this race win is off the track. And actually horrible start for our top 5, apart from Felix Samoes, who got the dream start, who launched himself into second place, then into first, and just saw the chaos unfold behind him. As Reitinen seems to be a little bit struggling going out wide there on the exit of Puon. But wow, Ron, what a start to this race.
Yeah, starts don't get any more dramatic as that. That was like 5 or 6 cars going off in the span of a couple corners. Sure, around here it's like a couple miles to go around a couple corners, but still. That was, I'm still, my mind's still kind of stuck on that incident with Herc and Hernandez. Hernandez, he was going for the move. I think he had a bit of locking up, a bit of front locking going into that turn, and plus he was just way too shallow. That move was never on. I don't really know what he was expecting there, but I gotta imagine Herc is not very happy with Hernandez. We heard in the iRacing comms, I think it was Herc saying thanks.
Oh.
As we see another going off, that is Gabayer there going off, and ooh, interesting rejoin. Oh, nearly took out Herc again. Yeah, Herc is not going to be very happy at the start of this race, I don't think, after that lap 1 incident. Yeah, there was...
And here is a replay of what actually happened. And yeah, like you were saying, Ron, Leon's line just looked really, really wrong. He broke a little bit too late, was all wrong into Lacombe, and smashed Herc out of the way. And Herc was really, really wide. He was practically going off the track. And had Hernandez not hit Hook as well, he would have ended up off the track as well. So both of those drivers having really, really terrible corners in there, and both unfortunately suffered for it. But we'll see what they can do for the rest of this race. Gaboa trying to make up ground. He goes for 8th place on Duncan. That was a fairly swift overtake, not too much trouble there. And I think Hernandez had to pit for damage. He came off worse than Herc did, which I guess you could say is bad karma for Hernandez, as he's all the way down in last place now. But we'll see what he can do over the next 8 or so laps. But Philip van den Hoek, this man, we know how quick he is, but just he's not really had the luck in recent weeks, and as well has made a fair few amounts of mistakes, but still a long way to go in this race. Can he at least fight back to the podium?
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to use the slipstream to try and make it up through the pack. I mean, he's still fairly close, all things considered, only 3 seconds off the back of the lead. So, despite having that incident where Hernandez, let's face it, kind of went for a bit of a bonehead move there, I mean, Herc is still, I mean, he's definitely on the back foot for sure, but I think he still has a pretty good chance of doing decent in this race. I think, as you said, there's plenty of time as we see some very interesting track limits there from a lot of the drivers. But yeah, there's plenty of time left. I mean, we're only 2 coming to 3 laps into this race. We've got 7 to go, and of course, at a track like this, at a 4-mile lap, you've got plenty of time to work with here.
Yes, indeed you do. You have so much time to plan your next move, where you're going to go for it, what you're going to do afterwards. And realistically, most of the planning, yeah, very, I think Reitinen really is struggling. He's not looking too pacey right now. And yeah, was 0.8 of a second slower than Samoa's on that last lap. And I mean, this is just allowing Samoa's to kind of run away, as Reitinen not in the slipstream, of course, he's 2.2 seconds behind. And he's just allowing the other cars behind him to, I'm going to guess he's going to get swallowed up on this next lap or 2. And possibly could end up in 5th, or even worse off if there's another collision between any of these guys. But you can see there, Philip van den Hoek not wasting any time. He's going to go for the aggressive outside line on Frederick. It's going to be very, very optimistic. Is Frederick going to pull out of it? He is, and it's just going to let Philip right on through. Maybe that was a bit of a tactic by Andreas, as he thinks that Philip is faster than him. He did set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap by 1/10 of a second from Samoa's, but I think, you know, that gap is too big at the top, and Samoa's has got this one in the bag.
Yeah, you know, Samoa's has had some pretty dramatic races these past couple weeks, hasn't really had things going his way. He was, well, he did win in Daytona a couple weeks ago at the road course, but that was I wouldn't say it was a fluke, but it was definitely a very lucky win. We had a collision between the two leaders, and he kind of just scraped through and managed to take a pretty commanding victory when everything was said and done. But he's had some pretty dramatic races. You know, we were talking about how he's kind of like the man to beat, and then pretty much as soon as we said that, he started having issues throughout some of these races. So me saying that, I probably jinxed him, Samoas. I know you watch a lot of these races, as you've said in interviews that you've done with us throughout the season. Yell at me if I accidentally jinxed you there. It was an accident. So we're gonna see Herc. He's gonna go. This is gonna be a bold move if he's gonna go for it. Oh, he's gonna go for the round the outside overtake. Is he gonna pull out of this? Oh, he's gonna go for it. Oh, he had to hit the brakes there. That was probably the smart move, especially considering how Bianco ran a little wide there. He's gonna be on the outside. He gets the move done, under braking, going into the final chicane. That was a very good move. Herc right now is a man on a mission.
Yeah, that was, I just think he's so much braver on the brakes on this car than a lot of other people, but we know sometimes throughout the season it has cost him dearly, as he made, I think he's made around 3 or 4 mistakes this season that has cost him a chance at a win. But, you know, he has the opportunity here to at least redeem himself and get up into second place. Of course, that lap 1 incident was not really his fault at all, but, you know, he still has the chance to get a little bit of redemption, as Rytinen still struggling, but is just about ahead of Hook in the slipstream. The Hook cannot attack on this lap, but in the background, Andreas looking for a move, but once again, just not close enough to go for anything. But Rytinen still really struggling. I mean, just look at how much Hook has caught him in those last few corners, and I think Hook's gonna want to find a way past as soon as possible. But if he does that, in that last sector, he's going to be so vulnerable to the slipstream.
Yeah, I think, it's a real interesting strategy as to what Herc does here. He's going to have a great run. I think he's maybe going to go for the move into Mulan. Yes, he's pulling out. Going to look to the inside. He might force the issue here. You can see how slow Reinen's been. Gap between second and first with Samoa has increased quite a lot. These two are really shuffling around here now. Great move from Herc. I think he really wants to get this move done because he is much quicker pace-wise than Reinen is. Really the only guy on track at the moment that's anywhere near Samoa's pace. So I think he really wants to get a move on there, get the move done, and as we've seen while I'm talking, he has.
Yeah, that was a really, really brave move into Puon, and Rytinen already has lost 0.7 of a second in just those few corners. Of course, the dirty air playing a part in that, but then again, look at how close these guys are. Shows you how much he's struggling. That was super close.
That was a block and a half there. That was very bold from Reinen. He really doesn't have anything else to do. He's gonna have to defend for his life. If he gets a bad exit out of the first corner, he might be screwed here. Oh no, Herc!
Oh, that's Herc again! Once again, the Dutchman has made some kind of mistake. I'm sorry if he's not from Holland. I may have just made that sort of mistake. But nevertheless, again, another mistake. That was on throttle this time. As we know how difficult this car can be on throttle. And his tyres are going to be absolutely cooked. And that's pretty much going to be the end of his challenge for the rest of the race. And Smuley, if you'd like to do the honours of giving us a beautiful replay to have a look at, we can take a look at what went wrong for Philip van den Hoek once again. On the charge, he looked really, really pacey round the final corner, just gave it too much throttle, and no, he did tap the wall slightly, but I think he got away with damage. But again, another mistake. I just think he's pushing too hard. He just needs to know where the limit is, but he's teetering on the edge. He's kind of like Charles Leclerc, very, very quick, but just too prone to mistakes at the moment.
Yeah, you probably just annoyed some people with that quote, but it is a fair comparison, you know, as we see.
I'm a Leclerc fan.
Nice side-by-side rate. Okay, well, there you go. There's your justification for that, as we see a battle with Spencer there. But yeah, it's just he was probably he was seeing that we've reached the halfway mark in this race. As we see Reinen go off, he might have had a big moment going into to Pouon there, as we see some battling going on between Blanco and Frederick. Nearly a pass there. I don't believe they did actually pull the move. But anyway, getting back to Herc, I think he was just seeing the fact that we're at the halfway mark in this race, and I think he was like, okay, if I don't give 10 tenths now, I probably won't be able to win this race. He tried to have his cake and eat it too. He's not going to have any cake if he stays in the position he has. 7th is not very good by his standards. I'm sure he's probably kicking himself after, well, the way this race has gone. He wanted to be the hometown hero, but it's been a hometown tragedy so far.
Yeah, surely he must be absolutely devastated at that. And I mean, can you blame him? It's not gone the way of his race at all. Maybe had he not been taken out by Hernandez, maybe his race would have gone a little bit more differently. Maybe he wouldn't have pushed as hard, but we just will never know. And
What
that's... Oh, yeah, and Villar there around the final few corners, learning why those sausage curbs need to leave. I mean, you know, the sausage curb topic in motorsport, fairly big one at the moment, and it has been for the past few years. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think about them, Ron, but I'm not a huge fan of the sausage curbs. Around this track, they're not as bad as some others, but nevertheless, these two still not going to care about the sausage curbs. They're going to go side by side, and this is for second place. Remember, Andreas Friedrich trying to go around the outside. Is he going to be a little bit braver on the brakes than Bianco? He is.
Yes, he
very,
is.
Very impressive move. Round the outside. You love to see a move like that all the time. And hello, look who's come to join the party. It's Gaboa, who we saw make a mistake on, I think it was lap 2, and has come to join the party in this battle for second place. And who knows, we could see Reitinen rejoin this battle at some point. Maybe Herc could get a chance at some point as well. If these guys keep battling, there's Friedrich getting another off track on the exit of No Name. But, I mean, this is going to be the battle to watch.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we've still got a pretty significant amount of time left in this race, so I think this could probably transform into a 5-car battle if these drivers close up enough. So I think this is definitely going to be the battle to watch. It's going to be very feisty. We've seen a lot of great battles throughout the season with the last couple of podium positions, and just continuing that trend here in Spa.
Yeah, these last podium positions always seem to produce some amazing racing. And, well, today is no different at all. Gaps starting to spread out a little bit between them, though. And maybe the slipstream will bring them back closer again. But Felix Samoes is having an absolute field day. This man isn't nobody. He's still going to fight. He's a racer. He's going to go for it anyway. This is Reitinen again, still struggling. This is Herc going for the move on the outside. He loves this move. He's already done it once. Does it again. And Reitinen can do absolutely nothing about it, and just has to let him through. But Reitinen is fairly feisty, actually. He's going to fight this one back into turn 1. Maybe he gets the slipstream. He's going to go for a move into turn 1. He's sort of delaying the inevitable here, but, I mean, he's well within his rights to do so. Herc tries to get a good exit. He gets a better one. He's going to have to tuck into the slipstream. Is he going to make the choice of pulling out before Rouge or after? He's going to do the smart thing and pull out before, get back into the slipstream as we head up Radion onto the Kemmel Straight, down to Lecombe. He's on the outside. He loves the outside line. I think it might actually be the favourable line in these cars. He's already a full car length ahead of Reitinen. Reitinen tries to fight back, but cannot do a thing about it. And Herc puts himself back up into 5th place. And, well, he may have made a mistake in this race, but he's still driving his heart out.
And that was some pretty knuckles out racing there, but that was pretty much a textbook overtake there from Herc. I mean, he set himself up nicely there. He had a good run coming out of the first turn. Bit too good of a run, though, so he kind of had to back out of it going into Rouge and Radion. But then lifted, got a great run. As we see, speaking of great runs, we're going to see Spencer go for a move here on the inside of Pouon. Bit of a replay of the battle we saw with Herc and Reinen at this same part of the track a few laps ago. And Spencer gets a move done. He might be under attack here from Reinen. No, he is the last of the late breakers there, and I think that's a pretty decent move from Spencer. I mean, besides that first lap incident he had, which we're not really sure what happened there, if we're being brutally honest, but he did go off the track. He was stuck in the gravel trap, but he has recovered nicely. This race has really seen a lot of nice recoveries. We've seen Herc cut through the field on multiple occasions. We've seen Philip Spencer obviously have his incident early on and then come back. We saw Giebler have his incident early on, and he's now currently running 4th, knocking on the door of the last podium spot. yeah, it's been an interesting race so far. A lot of recovery drives that we've seen so far.
Yeah, you always love to see it. Just drivers giving it their everything. And I think I speak for a few people as well, where sometimes when you have that comeback in your mind, and whether it was a mistake that you made or you got punted off, and you're coming through the field, you just have this different spark in you, and you just go like stick. You just go seconds a lap quicker, and sometimes you can't quite explain it, but you are just on the limit of whatever car you're driving, whether it's a Radical, whether it's a Formula 3 car, whether it's a Le Mans prototype, whatever it is. When you're coming through the field, you are an absolute animal, and it's so much fun to watch the likes of these top drivers giving it their everything, even after making mistakes. And I believe we're going to see a battle between Spencer and Herc at some point, as they're fairly close together, and Spencer's actually really catching Herc on this lap. And well, there's going to be some very, very... I don't know which battle we're going to watch, actually. We've got a battle for second, we've got a battle for fourth, kind of. We've got a battle for fifth. And I don't know what one we're going to watch in these final few laps. It's going to be so close.
Gonna have like chameleon eyes or something like that. One eye looking one way, the other eye looking the other. So I think that's... Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll just keep an eye on the live timing to see what battle, as we see a pass there for 11th and 12th there. As I was talking about live timing, I glanced over and saw that. So I think this is going to be the most heated battle, trying to get second, trying to finish runner-up. Samoa's, unless something major happens in these final few miles of this race, I think he'll probably run away with a win, for lack of a better word. And yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the hot battle to look at between second and third, between Frederick and Bianco.
Yeah, well, I mean, this victory is thoroughly deserved if he gets it. I mean, you know, we've still got 2 laps to go. Let's not jump the gun yet, as, you know, my commentator curse is extremely powerful. I've done it many, many times before, and I do not want to do it again today. And let's hope that
we all have our moments.
Yeah,
we all have our moments. So.
I think mine is truly cursed. I did it last season, and like literally 5 seconds after I complimented the driver, like, oh, he's had an absolutely amazing race, he then spins off into a wall. So I'm gonna keep. I'm just gonna be very careful with what I say, and let's hope the number 2 can bring it home. He did have to work thoroughly hard on that opening lap to get into the lead, but then after that, you know, cars behind just decided, nah, we're gonna fight, and we'll take second place. And Felix also has had really, really good pace, as the only man to get close to him in terms of fastest lap is actually Philip Spencer. But on this lap, he's in the clear, and a man who isn't in the clear is going to be Frederick, who's very vulnerable to Bianco. He gets himself up into second place, but this battle is...
He's got the inside!
Frederick going up the inside again, getting a really poor exit there and not making the best of it. He's going to send it once again into this next corner, and Bianco just has to give up. You can't really go around the outside of that corner. It just ruins it. You get so much understeer out there, and into no name we go. Frederick is emerging in second place, but just look at this. Everyone behind is catching up. It's now Frederick, Bianco, Gaboa, Herc, and Spencer, all separated by I think around 2 or 3 seconds. And this last lap, Ron, place your bets?
Yeah, well, usually every time I've placed my bets, it usually goes the complete opposite, so maybe I'm not the right person to make bets. It's exactly why I don't really gamble, but it'll be interesting, you know. We saw Bianco, he went for the move there. It just, I think he overcooked it going into the chicane, had a really bad run. Oh!
Talking about overcooking.
Yeah, talking of overcooking right there, he went for a very interesting move there. I think he has some gravel on his tires and maybe some defecate in his pants after an interesting line like that. I dread to be his dry cleaner after that, but anyway, I think it'll just be interesting to see if Bianco can get a good run coming out of the final corner. Ooh, that was a good run coming through the second to last corner there. Herc, as we said, is a man on a mission, but I think it's gonna be real interesting on this last lap. I think it's gonna be a battle between second and third, and fourth and fifth as we hit the final lap now.
Yeah, this white flag is going to mean everything to the top 6 right now. Even Felix, who is cruising out ahead, a win's a win, whether it's by a mile or a meter, who cares? You've won a race. But looking at that timing screen, I don't think Bianco is anywhere near enough to Frederick to go for a move. But Herc is definitely close enough to Gaboa to go for a move. Gaboa goes very defensive, but look at the power of that slipstream, as Herc actually is in the slipstream of Bianco ahead and is able to tuck back in. And Spencer, who was actually looking like the man to challenge Herc in this race, is got a car in front of him and won't be able to challenge, unfortunately. And everyone exploiting track limits around here, it's kind of what you got to do if you want to make the best and gain those extra few tenths on your opponent. But I don't know, we might actually finish as we are, as the gaps keep on coming down, sure. But because we're in a bit of a slipstream train here, as Bianco is a little bit far from Bianco, it's going to be difficult for the guys behind to make any overtakes. But I say that, Bianco's had a horrible few corners and has got Hook all over the back of him. And Hook,
yeah, I think he's going to be at risk here. Ooh, that was a very interesting defending move, but he's kind of overcooked it there. There we go.
And has allowed Hook back into third.
Yeah, he's now going to be a sitting duck here with Giebler. He's going to try and get some comeuppance for what happened going down the Camel straightaway. So I think, I mean, these guys are still going to be really fighting here, going down this final short blast before we go into the final chicane and then see the checkered flag. Pretty much a runaway victory from Samoa's. Could cut back to that battle. I think it's going to be real close. I think it's Bianco closing up on Gabayer there. Yeah, it might be close between those two, but I don't think any of them are going to be close enough. Oh, I say that. Interesting shuffling there. Samoa's at this point has crossed the line. He is the winner today, but being and banging there, it was more NASCAR style racing through those final couple of corners, but you could throw a blanket over them. That's how they finished.
Well, unfortunately, I kind of called it. We sort of finished the way that we were, but Bianco just had a really horrible few corners and just could not make the best of it at all. Rysonen, after, let's be honest, not the best race he's ever done, finishes in 7th, and Spencer as well. Pretty good comeback. He was like last at one point and finished in 6th place. Hook as well, after having 2 incidents, ends up on the podium, which, I mean, you know, just goes to show how utterly chaotic this race was, and also goes to show how amazing Felix was in the lead. No mistakes, amazing pace of race, and just an absolutely flawless lights to flag victory, pretty much. After he got that lead, I don't think anybody was going to be able to challenge him.
Yeah, I think he was just in a completely different dimension throughout this race, really showing more speed than anyone else. Really, the only, as we see, a very bad lock up there. That was, yeah, Brent Murphy going off final corner, losing a position there, I believe. But yeah, Samoa's, he was a man on a mission today. He was really fast throughout this race. The only person that was really close to him pace-wise was Herc, and we saw the mistakes that he made throughout this race, so it was really just him cruising to the checkered flag and bringing it home pretty decent. I mean, it was pretty uncontested throughout this race. Maybe if things went a bit better, maybe if Herc didn't get punted on lap 1, maybe if he didn't have that spin coming out of the final corner, things would have been a lot different, but there's no point talking about what ifs. We can only talk about what happened, and what happened was a very dominant run from Samoa's.
Yeah, he either has a really, really good race or a really, really poor race. It does Felix Samoa's, but today it was one of those good races. He ends up winning here in Spa by 11 seconds from Andreas Frejik, who actually had a fairly underrated performance, just kept it on the track and produced some really good racing and finished in 2nd place. So well done to him. Really, really good drive. And Philip van den Hoek, again, would have hoped for better today, but I think a podium, considering what happened, is a good result. Gaboa in 4th, putting up a decent fight at the end as well. Bianco in 5th. Spencer as well, really good comeback from him. Rysonen in 7th. Villar in 8th. Krasik in 9th. Senaria in 10th place. Hernandez as well, after pitting in 11th. Geoffrey in 12th, Williams in 13th, Murphy in 14th, Westerbeek in 15th, Duncan 16th, Tatavul in 17th place, Hartegi in 18th, and Kopernicki in last place in 19th. And once again, really good racing. I mean, this is kind of what we expect from Radicals every single week. It's just utterly chaotic, some really, really good side-to-side action, and some really, really bold moves as well. We saw more overtakes down the outside than we did up the inside, to be honest.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's a very interesting flavor of racing we got. These cars, obviously, in this season, a bit difficult to drive, so it's a really big challenge for these drivers to keep it on the road. But it does produce some pretty good racing, because really no one is safe from mistakes, from incidents, and plus with the way the slipstream is at track, with it has long straightaways and flat-out blasts, as we have here, it really produces some pretty good racing. So I'm excited for the rest of this year. You know, we got Bathurst coming up, then Imola, and then to round the year off, we have the Nordschleife. So I think we have some pretty interesting racing coming up. We have a lot of things to discuss as this season approaches its final 3 races.
Yeah, it's going to be super, super exciting into the season. But yeah, we have an interview waiting for us from today's race winner, Felix. I mean, to be honest, not too much to talk about apart from that first lap. It was, get the move done into turn 1, get the move done up into Lacombe, and boom, you're in the lead, and you did not look back. How did that race feel?
Uneventful. After the first lap, pretty uneventful. Yep. So it didn't start as good as it could have started for me, because I had an off track on my second qualify lap where I was already over 3/10 up. So I probably could not go for the pole, but at least second place I would have got. The start was okay, so I immediately jumped to second, and then downhill I overtook Philip, and then braking at the end of the Camel Straight, I saw the orange car from the inside. I was like, he's coming too fast. I didn't turn in immediately as I could, and then unfortunately he ended up hitting Van der Hoek, which caused him to lose a position. And then I also saw on the rear view mirror Spencer also spinning. Then on the replay I realized he was hit by some other driver from the back. So really unlucky for both of them, because I believe both of them were probably faster than I was anyways in race pace. I don't know, we didn't know in the end. After that was just a matter of not doing any mistakes. I was still pushing, maybe not 100%, but I was sure on 98%. Let's put it like that. Also not to break focus, because if you slow down too much, you start thinking about other stuff, not the race, and then you end up doing mistakes. So and that was it basically. Drive to the end, and I saw Van der Hoek came to the second position, and then at the chicane something happened. He dropped to the back again. After that, then I realized, okay, now I'm secure. I just don't have to do any mistakes. That was it, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Talking about Van den Hoek, you spoke about there that he lost a bunch of time. I mean, he lost it on traction on the exit of the final corner. And would you say that was a particularly difficult place to get on the power today, or do you think that was just his mistake alone?
Yeah, probably his mistake. He was a bit too ambitious to get up to speed to catch me. It is easy to do that. I did it a couple of times during practice. Then I learned what I had to do. I mean, you cannot press the accelerated with the steering wheel with too much angle on the steering wheel. It has to be almost straight before you can really kick it. So yeah, I mean, as I said, I think he was probably too ambitious to get up to speed to catch up. And then when you do that, I mean, when you push, you risk, and when you risk it, you can do mistakes. It's normal.
And well, you're both extremely quick drivers, and going into next week, I believe it's at Mount Panorama. That's going to be a completely different kettle of fish than this track. Do you have good hopes for that race, or are you absolutely terrified?
I am terrified of they call it on the top of the hill and the walls, because it's so easy to do a slight mistake. You lose a bit and you have no room to correct the mistake. You're into the wall, so it's tricky because of that. Other than that, I can do all right on that track. It depends. Let's see how it goes. But I'm looking forward. I think it's a good combo. The radicals at Bathurst, it's a good combo.
I've got to agree with you there. Actually, it does sound like a pretty good combo. But yeah, before we let you go, Felix, as always, anyone you want to give a shout out to or give a thanks?
As usual, for you guys at the commentating the race, it's always nice to go back and watch the race, and everybody involved who makes this happen, because you need the commentary and the races. It's just a shame that so little participation. I was really hoping to see a larger grid at this track, because it's so populous, but only less than 20 drivers showed up, which is shame.
Yeah, we always hope for more participation, but it's been a pleasure to speak to you, Felix, and good luck for next week.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice evening, guys.
Thank you. And that was your race winner, Felix Samoes, with some very interesting details on his race. But that's pretty much all the time that we have for in today. And it's been, once again, an eventful race from start to finish, as it always is in these radicals. I've been Aaron Smith, joined by Ron Mons and Samuli Kumo in the production trailer. And we will see you all next week for Mount Panorama. Goodbye.